possible.
It is the way in which we propagate our species. Please demonstrate how this is accomplished. So, what's next? I don't know.
Hello, and welcome to Casual Trek's Castle of Creepiness. We're a Star Trek recap and ranking podcast that's part of the spooky Nerd and Tie network. They cover all manner of things from haunting to the summoning of demons. I am Charlie Eldritch-Nunn, a blood-sucking ghoul and a fan of Robert W. Chambers.
Hello, my name is Miles Reid-Lobatto. I am a stand-up comedian and writer, and fan of the horror writer Stephen King.
Each episode, we'll watch stories from 3 different Star Trek shows and rank them on a big list of the best to the damned. We both love Star Trek, but it's far from our first fandom, which makes us the ultimate objective voices. If you disagree, we will have to put you in a sore trap.
We will find you and put you in the comfy chair and poke you with the pointy edge of the cushion. Okay, as fun as the creepy voices are,
Yep.
I can't do that anymore. I'm getting on in years.
That's fair. So, Miles, are you a horror fan?
I am a horror fan. In terms of like horror movies and stuff, I kind of dipped out in the Saw American Horror Story era. Then horror got very pretentious and, as the haters say, woke. And so I came crawling back. And actually, this last year, my lovely wife and I, she's been asking me to kind of show her more horror stuff. She's been kind of like opening out into horror, so we've been watching a lot. I've been showing her a lot of classic horror movies this year. And admittedly, in terms of John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, not so classic horror movies.
That's been part of the joy with horror I've found. As a kid, I had nightmares a lot, and the thing that broke me out of them was very much reading horror. And as a kid, I must have been, I don't know, like single figures age-wise, when my dad said, I'm fed up of watching children's movies, so at some point you want to watch an 18-rated movie. If you're going to do that, you'll do that with me. And we watched Alien. And he explained, it was one of those things where we watched it and we had a conversation afterwards. Yeah. And then we watched Aliens almost immediately afterwards, like a week or two after that. And yeah, realizing reading horror exiled it into that space. It is in a fictional space. And the nightmares kind of stopped. And I've been a fan ever since, of your trash like Stephen King, which I love, but he's also not good a lot of the time.
When Stephen King is good, it's amazing. Like The Shining, Misery, they're classics. When they're clearly written on a ungodly amount of cocaine, like Christine, it's bad, but like you still kind of end up just reading it because like somehow his prose kind of gets you. Like even though no one talks like a Stephen King character, and after like living in the Midwest, no one talks like a Stephen King character. It's kind of amazing, but also disappointing. It's great, but like horror movies, I started off with I blame Mark Kermode for, they had like on Channel 4, they had a weekend of films which were films which are formerly video nasties, which were illegal to show in the UK. I love telling American cinephiles about video nasties in the UK when like some films were more illegal than Class A drugs back in the 80s.
Yeah, it was a weird time. And for me, I kind of I like spiraled out from Stephen King to old Hewlett-Packard Lovecraft and a lot of the older kind of things, your Shelley, your Stoker, all of that kind of thing, all during my adolescence. And I mentioned Robert W. Chambers earlier, and the Yellow King Hasta kind of stuff that you mainly see tied into Lovecraftian fiction. When I finally read Chambers's Yellow King kind of cycle, like, he's a guy who mostly wrote wherever the money was. So he wrote adventure fiction. He wrote mainly shopgirl romance and stuff like that.
Back when you could do that.
Yes.
Like back when you could just pump out utter toot and have drinking money in a week.
Yeah, but then the Yellow King stuff, Repairer of Reputations, all of that, it strikes exactly on my kind of Morrisonian fiction being real at the same time kind of style. I love all of that. It's where I ran a big game of Yellow King set in Paris where everyone was art students, and the real and the art was kind of blending a bit, I don't know, like Velvet Buzzsaw and Black Swan and all those kind of things.
Ooh, very nice. I do like me some Clive Barker.
Oh yes.
I have been listening to audiobooks of the second volume of The Books of Blood. And then immediately, while I was at work, one book ended, and I was like, I'm just going to get book 3 right now, so I can listen to something called Rawhead Rex, which is about a dinosaur they dig up, and it's not, like, the thing I like about Clive Barker, like, some of his stories are, like, really kind of wonderfully psychosexual and really kind of evocative and beautiful in its kind of mixing of like sexuality and horror. And then you have Rawhead Rex, which is basically a 1950s B-movie with gore, with actual gore.
Amazing. So we should probably press on, but before we do...
One question.
Yes.
Where you've worked, did you ever have to wear a spooky costume?
No, weirdly, for all the office work that I've done over the years and all the shenanigans, I have had ugly Christmas jumper kind of parade. That, but there's never been a Halloween one. At
the international coffee shop chain, which indulged in union busting, which I'm going to stop talking about by name, we were allowed to wear costumes within practical corporate guidelines. And so most of the time, I went as a slutty barista, which is my usual work uniform. And as usual, I let my accent do the sexy.
Okay.
But at the new job, I am thinking of going as Hawkeye, not the member of the Avengers, but as the gin-swilling womanizer from MASH.
Will you need to bring your own gin?
Yes. They won't let me take bottles of gin from the store. We've had discussion.
That's unsporting, but I get it. You've got to make ends meet.
You got to make ends meet.
So yes, anyway, before we go on, what non-Star Trek spooky thing have you been enjoying since we last spoke?
Oh, non-spooky Star Trek thing. Well, this week of recording, there was a screening of the new movie from the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, Mobile Suit Gundam Cucuruz Doan's Island, which is a feature-length animated remake of episode 15 of the original show, which is notorious to Western Gundam fans because it's an episode so poorly animated, the director and creator of the show won't let there be an official release of that one episode.
Oh.
Until the animators are dead. Because it's notoriously off-model, it's kind of cheesy. My personal theory is that one night, Yoshiyuki Tomino got a phone call from the animators asking him to help hide a body. And he's just been resentful ever since.
So this is a feature-length version of that episode?
It is a feature-length episode of a 25-minute episode of anime from 1979. It is good. It is directed by the character designer of the original show, who also directed films such as Venus Wars. He does a lot of character design work from the 80s. It looks beautiful. The animation is gorgeous. They managed to expand the story to movie length in a way which keeps what makes the show work. And also, it has a goat who might be the greatest new character find for Mobile Suit Gundam in the last decade, because it's a goat who somehow manages to decimate a collection of relatively skilled mecha pilots of the show. It's great. The film is fun. The music is amazing. And yeah, I love being able to see my favorite anime franchise on the big screen.
One question. Does the goat get a Gundam?
The goat does not get a Gundam.
Oh.
But it does get to scare the crap out of a Gundam pilot, who has clearly never seen a goat before.
So that makes him better than a Gundam, then?
It's more terrifying than a Gundam.
Excellent.
Because the goat will end you.
Well, yeah, as a goat should, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you? What is your non-Trek thing this time around?
I may need to be stopped if I end up spending our entire runtime talking about this. I've started a campaign of a role-playing game called Trophy Gold, and I've run 2 sessions of it before, and it was my favourite game that I've only ever run 2 sessions of. I really enjoy the mechanics of it, and it's basically, and this is incredibly reductive to say, what if A24 made Dungeons and Dragons?
That wasn't what I was expecting, because, like, Trophy Gold sounds like a cigarette brand. It kind of sounds like a game about, like, dodgy London street traders. And now I want an Only Fools and Horses tabletop role-playing system.
Yeah. So Trophy itself is the name of a couple of different role-playing games. And you got Trophy Dark, which is kind of like high fantasy version of Annihilation. You're doomed adventurers going into a forest that doesn't want you there to take things that don't belong to you. And if you're lucky, you're gonna die. It's a tragic horror. It features amazing kind of body horror, weird kind of like folk horror-y bits at times, and some wonderful scenarios for, you know, new people each time, because the old ones are...
That's Annihilation-esque.
Well, one of my group erupted into a giant stag made of plant matter last time that I ran it, so yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, usual kind of stuff. Trophy Gold replaces that Doomed with Desperate and turns it into a campaign where ultimately capitalism is the end boss, because you need to make money. You're an adventurer and you need coin because you've got a specific drive. It could be to re-earn your family name and heritage and all that. It could be become accepted by some weird celestial order, but ultimately you need money. And when you go out adventuring, when you come back home, you need to pay money. And this creates that drive of, why the fuck do adventurers go to the weird dungeons they go to? Why does any sane person go there? And the answer is, they don't. They're not doing it. It's these chumps who are. And it's an incredible kind of push your luck game, because you might go, I've been poisoned, I've stood on a bear trap, I've been in several fights, but there's gold somewhere in that old shrine, I bet you, and I really need gold right now, guys. So yeah, it's been fascinating. My group have lost 3 characters in 3 sessions, and the best thing is, I was worried we'd have words at the end of the session and they'd go, it's not working out, let's do something else. But no, they've seen it as a challenge.
Oh no!
I think Trophy does this so much better than any other game, because you got that compulsive loop that, no, there's just 5 more gold, we can do it, we can press on. Fuck, I've lost an arm. Oh god, right, it's okay. This guy's becoming a weird insect, but as long as we can get him back home once we've got the money, that's fine, we'll fix it.
All I'm hearing is Dungeons and Dragons for the gig economy.
Yeah, that kind of thing, but with the aesthetics of your
Midsommar and your Green Knights.
Yes! Oh my god, yeah, I rewatched The Green Knight before running this, and it's so good.
I saw Midsommar in cinemas. Basically, one of my co-workers went to see it, and I asked him how it was. And his review was basically the word fuck. At that point, I knew I had to go see it. Yep. When the film ended, that was I basically shouted, "What the fuck did I just watch?" Out of all the modern day films I've been considering showing my wife, I'm on the fence because that film goes places.
Oh, that opening is rough.
Oh, I'm just thinking about the part where the old people jump off the rocks. I'm a 39-year-old man, and I have never covered my eyes so hard watching a film on the big screen.
Oh, it's amazing for that. I very much enjoyed that film. I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times now. And yeah, it's brutal and fascinating and gorgeous to see. And yeah, if you ever want a role-playing game with that kind of aesthetic and style, Trophy Gold's got you covered, you know.
And then the day after I saw Midsommar, I watched The Lighthouse.
Oh!
The Lighthouse is amazing.
It is. It's so good.
Like, The Lighthouse is watching 2 amazingly good actors. And that was a film that convinced me that Robert Pattinson was up to the challenge of wearing the mantle of the bat.
Yeah.
Watching a film where Robert Pattinson fucks a mermaid.
Again, a wonderful film. Horrifying in so many ways, but really good. Anyway, this is not a horror podcast. It's just a horror-themed episode of a Star Trek podcast. And with that in mind, we've got 3 ghoulish choices for you, the listeners at home. And we're going to start off with literally the episode I think of when I think horror and Star Trek. This is one that it was interesting to revisit for the first time, possibly since it aired, actually. For me.
This episode was one that actually, I turned it off when I was a kid.
Oh.
Because Spider.
Yeah.
Because giant spider.
So the episode, in case you couldn't guess by the giant spider, is the Next Generation's Season 7, Episode 19, titled Genesis. After the band, I assume.
It was very daring of Star Trek to get Phil Collins to play a giant spider.
Impressive work.
But, they got the guy from Fleetwood Mac to play a fish in one episode.
The episode, Genesis, aired on the 21st of March, 1994. It was written by Brannon Braga and is the only episode of The Next Generation directed by one Gates McFadden. If I remember correctly, she wanted to direct. And I guess at this point, nearly at the end of the entire show, they decided, yes, here, have the horror one. Yeah, the hits for the UK and the USA, just to ground us in time in the popular culture, the UK had Take That with Everything Changes, which...
Oh, God.
I'm not a Take That fan. I vaguely think I remember that one.
Be honest, Charlie. Were you an East 17 fan?
Oh, my brother was an East 17 fan because it seemed like they were, a bit more edgy, a bit more street.
Charlie, you realise if you say Boyzone, I'm walking out.
No, God, this is me at 13 and moody and angry as hell. So I was Tom Waits and fuck all the rest of it.
No, be honest. You were singing "Spice Up Your Life."
Anyway, moving swiftly onwards as my ability to enjoy the shit music of my youth only came in my late 20s.
Look, you're talking to someone who grew up on Tom Waits and Patti Smith when he was in the womb. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, America has, now this is, over in the US, the number 1 during this was Ace of Base with The Sign. And that's, while it is a track that is, again, iconic for my youth and evocative of an era, the people themselves turned out to be real wrong-uns. It's,
oh no.
Yeah, like proper, like weird fash kind of stuff with a lot of their things. And
lovely.
It's
love when that happens.
Oh, but we're not here for that kind of horror. No, I just catastrophize when and listen to It Could Happen Here regularly to catastrophize about those kind of things. This is for the glorious escapism. So I need a 5-minute timer, and I've written way too many notes for this.
And engage.
Okay, great. So, Genesis. We start with Riker being up to some shenanigans with a woman in an arboretum, which led to him having some cactus barbs in the back. He says, all while he was getting it on with a woman there, and he's really cool, honestly, he probably got shoved into them or anything like that, which, At the same time, Reginald Barclay, who we've not seen in this show before, he's been Googling symptoms, which you never do, not if you're him.
Reg Barclay would be on WebMD all the time.
Yeah, he's basically been on the Starfleet version of WebMD. He thinks he has literally every disease known to man, and to any other sentient thing as well. Crusher reckons there's some kind of small dormant gene inside him, which is a little bit off. And yay, that makes him unique, but she's going to reactivate it and then get rid of him, which, it
could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, nothing. That's fine. Just reactivate some dormant gene and send him on his way. At the same time, to get all of the plots in the same scene to begin with, Data shows up at Crusher's, and I didn't realise she's kind of a vet as well, as Spot's pregnant. And Data decides that this makes him, as a good cat mum, as he is, the expert on pregnancy. So he offers up advice to Nurse Agawa, who is also expecting. And that's not patronising at all. Up on the bridge, we get Worf, who's way too excited about testing a new weapon guidance system, and he whiffs it. He messes up. A torpedo goes right through an asteroid field, hitting nothing and going loose into space. And rather than just firing pot shots at it, Picard decides he wants some time off. He wants to show he can still fly a shuttle. He's still got it. So he decides to go off flying after it with Data. Data decides that he's going to hand Spot over to Barclay, who is literally the only person that Spot doesn't hate. Which, shocking, but fine. Barclay's acting a little skittish and hyperactive, which isn't too different to normal, but it's highlighted enough that we know something's going on. Speaking of slight differences, Worf is getting really tetchy about his goof up. He's in 10 forward, eating some kind of octopus-looking thing in a really ugly fashion, like just angrily wolfing an octopus down. Troy shows up, and I think they're together at this point. It certainly feels like it here, and she wants caviar and lots of water. She has the presence of a drunk aunt at a wedding at this point, and Worf hungrily stares at her and the food, heads back to his quarters, has a stomp around, rips up some of his bedding and lays on it like a really pissed off cat. With Picard and Data gone, Troy and Worf are in charge of the bridge for a little bit and have a massive fight over the Enterprise aircon, which is really awkward for everyone else that's there. You can see the embarrassment going on. And even so, for Troy, I'm trying to remember which way round it is. It's too hot for him and too cold for her, I think.
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a fight.
You've got a minute.
What?
You've got a minute.
Left?
Yep.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm going way over with this. So, anyway, Riker keeps getting weirdly forgetful and concerned he's losing it. Troy decides to have a fully clothed bath when Worf comes in, tries getting off with her, is shooed off but bites her in the neck. At this point, Crusher looks at what's gone on and sees these weird fancy new venom sacs that Worf's got, and he sprays her in the face, which is incredibly rude. But, as she's put in stasis, gets her out of the way to direct a bit more. I assume that's why all that happened. Dwight Schultz does some amazing cartoon lizard insect posing over everything. He is a joy to watch, and Riker's suspicious about it, but he can't remember how to call in an emergency. He is having a real kind of space dementia time. So,
and speaking of time, that's you sorted. That's you sorted.
Oh my
I don't think
word.
you've not even reached the halfway point.
I've Well, I've reached the halfway point of my notes. I spent way too long on some of the bits.
Right.
Okay.
And engage.
3 days later, Picard and Data are done with their joyride. 3 days hunting a missile. Weird. Fine. Okay. They've come back. No one's talking to them on the comms. The ship, it's all wonky. Now, I know what's direction in space anyway, but the cameras let us know something's a bit weird. They board. All the lights have gone down to creepy mode, and there are animal noises and some human-sized piles of shed skin dotted around. They decide to head over to Troy's quarters, and she's become a kind of weird frog creature. They head up to the bridge, and Ensign Doan has been killed, with his spine snapped in 3 places, but considerably placed back at his workstation. Riker's gone all caveman in Picard's office, and is trying to attack his fish. Fine. It's not going well, though. He's not very good at it and is easily knocked out. Data realizes the crew's de-evolving and that some kind of T-cell got unlocked, and ancient genes that people evolved past have been unlocked.
Wait, hang on. The T-cell has been unlocked and has formed a kind of virus. A T-virus.
Oh!
Should you say.
Why, yes. And
I was very proud of that.
Good work. So yeah, the good news is this is a virus. This is something that they can figure out a cure for. The bad news is Picard's infected and is going to become a lemur. Why a lemur? I don't know. Both of them...
Everyone knows Finch descended from marsupials.
Yes, yeah, exactly that. So yeah, the pair are actually really quick to sort out a solution. They find Spot has given birth and her babies are unaffected. Unlike Spot, who's become an iguana somehow.
I lost my crap at that jump cut because there's like no effort at all to like some kind of lizard hybrid. It is almost like a comedy beat.
It's amazing. The good news is they need some kind of gestating human, and the baby will be immune to the T-virus as well. And guess what? Nursagawa's got one of those. So yeah, they find her, and she's kind of like Planet of the Apes out a bit. And they get freaked out by Barclay, who's a Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, but a man who's a...
Man-Spider. He's Man-Spider.
He's only seen really briefly, but you can tell why he's the face of this episode, because it's really cool looking. While all the silencing happens, Worf starts banging on the door. They are very sparing with us seeing him, but when we do, he's got some kind of exoskeleton, and he's after Troy's pheromones. After the bite, it seems to have caused a thing in him. Picard freaks out, lemur style. Again, Patrick Stewart, while he starts off this show a little uptight, he is all in on acting like a freaked out lemur, running around, spraying Troy pheromones everywhere to lure Worf away until Data makes a cure. Sorry, this is nuts. Like, I mean, I had to write this up in a report afterwards.
A quick question for you. At what point when you were writing notes when you got to writing Patrick Stewart spraying Troy pheromones, did you kind of start to rethink your life?
No, dig further. I like this. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, everything's fixed. Cure's out in the air. Everything's fine, but do please inform the next of kin of Ensign Fern, and fuck knows how many other people died, because I half imagined like half the crew dead from this.
I think Worf may have killed the guy. ? Will he get written up for this? Probably not.
Probably not. Anyway, so yeah, the end. Time.
Time. 4 minutes. You spent 5 minutes on the first 20 minutes of the episode, and 4 minutes and 44 seconds on the latter half of the episode.
Hey, it's alliterative. I'll take it. And what was any of this, Miles?
I have to basically think that for the universe of Star Trek, this is every other Tuesday for Federation starships. Because, like, this must happen a lot.
Yes, I love that Lower Decks plays into the fact that every Starfleet ship has your weird swashbuckling heroes, your weird science horrors, and that, do you remember the other day where everyone had a clone of themselves? Yeah, oh well.
Oh well.
Like, yeah, that's it. That's just what life is for them. And I love that. Like, the brief time that I ran a Star Trek RPG, they were on a space station, and the moment I got onto a ship and met an NPC captain, it was entirely that. It was like, there was a day where we all had two heads. You know, that's Starfleet for you. And what on earth? Like, someone was genuinely murdered in the cast here.
Worf killed a guy.
Yeah, Worf killed a guy, and will he get written up? Even with, like, an asterisk going, he was like some exoskeleton boar Klingon hybrid thing.
He probably, at best, he has to go to a seminar and told not to do it again by human resources.
Well, because they've got to do something, right? They've got to go, repercussions need to happen, but we know it wasn't you. You weren't in control of your faculties. Here's how to live with that.
He has probably had to see a PowerPoint presentation, which has, like, some modern-day, like, 24th century celebrity. Like, he has to watch an educational film where someone's going, so you killed a guy.
Does Fern have family on the ship? And what's going to happen with them? If they're crew, do they need a transfer now?
Maybe they were really lucky and Worf murdered them as well.
Maybe. And like all the stuff, like someone's shed skin, like a human amount of skin, because there was some kind of ancestral lizard DNA inside you as well.
The one plus is that no one turns into a lobster, thus proving that Jordan Peterson is full of shite.
Yes, literally, that is the only way that we'd know.
One bit of trivia. The red-headed security officer who Riker is talking to is Patricia Tallman, who is Lita Alexander in Babylon 5.
Oh my god. And this feels like the first Babylon 5 reference we've had in a few episodes.
Yeah, I need to have a backlog.
Yes. I didn't realise that.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things I liked about this episode is, like, the opening scene. It's really nice to see, like, a baseline normal of what it's like. We never see when, like, usually most episodes start with shit already getting real. So it's really nice to see kind of like this is what the normal day is like in Star Trek before the Klingons attack, people turn into lemurs, and then slowly filters in the horror monster movie elements.
Oh, it does a really good job of the cold open feeling very much just day in the life.
Yeah.
I was originally thinking, come on, where's the thing? Where's the hook? But it's all these disparate elements, and it's all of them are Chekhov's guns that will go off over the next 40 minutes. And the pacing, it's interesting, because I know I overran by 4 minutes there, but it hits that point fairly late on in the show of we're in the haunted house, we're in the spooky place.
Yeah.
And then the cure is really fast. Like, it's acquired really quick, but there is that last obstacle of Worf trying to headbutt his way in, trying to get to the Troy pheromones. Which, it's really interesting, the pace of it all. And I'm used to thinking of Brannon Braga just as one of those people, along with Rick Berman, that kind of caused a lot of homogenous Trek stuff, and that a lot of Trek was good in spite of the kind of the guys in charge. But this was a good, well-written one.
This would have been interesting to watch when you actually have the commercial breaks when they're meant to be, because obviously we never got these with commercial breaks because we're watching on BBC where there are no commercials. But American TV is always written into the format of, here is the ad break here.
Yeah.
So obviously it ends, and then ad break 3 days later, Enterprise is wonky, and everything's gone to smeg.
It's fascinating to see, and I remember messaging you about this, and I think we both hit upon that realization that they don't care. Like, not in a bad way, not in a we're just keeping the lights on. This is season 7, final season, episode 19 out of 26, and they're just having fun. Like, they are going bonkers with it.
This is dumb. Like, this is dumb as a pile of rocks.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think everyone knows that it's dumb. But everyone's like, okay, this is stupid, but we're gonna commit. Like, I like how they really try to, like, make it feel atmospheric with the lighting.
It really feels jarring, you know, and claustrophobic in a way that you didn't get with the sets normally.
The bit that was kind of the creepiest of all, like the bit that's actually kind of legitimately unsettling, is when Worf assaults Troy.
Yeah.
Like, all the giant spider and monster wolf stuff is monster movie. Like, this is your average episode 3 of a Tom Baker Doctor Who when they're running around from monsters. But, like, the part when Worf is essentially trying to mate with Troy, it's unsettling.
Yeah.
It's kind of disturbing.
It's that snap of going, we're not there yet. We've not discovered why something's awry, but something is really awry here.
Like, it's the thing you don't find creepy as a dude at 13, but you find terrifying when you're older. That's the real... It's just such a throwaway for what is a realistic horror beat.
So yeah, it's fascinating, and I admit I'm looking at the list currently, and I know that I'm an easy mark for horror, and as schlocky as this is, it's that thing of, oh god, where is it gonna? Am I going to be prejudiced towards this because I'm a sucker for horror? So before we go any further, I should say to the audience, just in case this is your first time here somehow, we have a big old list of the best Star Trek episodes, which currently the number 1 spot is The Emissary. And then we have the middlingest episodes, which are, I think, currently we've got Errand of Mercy around the number 8 slot. And that's Corin Kirk in a kind of space castle, sharing smouldering moments and weird Ren Fair vibes. And then down at the bottom, at the lowest point, we have the pilot for Enterprise titled Broken Bow, which has been there since we saw it. And it's going to take a little bit to replace. So I think this is definitely on the upper half for me.
Yeah, like, this is dumb, which makes it perfect watching.
Yes. I'd say, you know, just looking at the other shows, we've got ones like The Cage, which is dumb and iconic. Like, dumb, and it is the start of it all. We've got things like House of Quark, which is, you know, quite high up. And you've got Quark doing a murder and getting into that fiasco-style kind of escalating bullshit problems.
It's at number 13.
At number 13, you're right near the bottom there. Number 13 is Strange New World from Enterprise. We've only got 15 things on here, so putting it in 15 as the cursed spot would be... I feel it doesn't deserve that.
That's damning with faint plays. Okay, I am... Ooh. Okay, what's it like number 8?
So number 8 is Errand of Mercy. That's like the midpoint currently.
And then what's 9?
9 would be Through the Valley of Shadows for Discovery. I'd say this is definitely above that.
This is a 9, but I want a little, like, asterisk that when we get more episodes, that we shift it down to 13.
Well, the good thing is, there are actually several spooky episodes for Star Trek. I had to trim it down to just 3 for this. But don't worry, next year we might have some some fun zombie horror, and even an Enterprise horror episode, which, we'll spare you this time. Next time we will not be so merciful. So, okay, with Genesis, it's difficult to say it's good, but it's so much fun.
Yeah. And and sometimes when it comes to what your favorite episodes are of a TV show, it's there is what is good on an artistic level, and then there's Patrick Stewart pretending to be a lemur spraying Troy pheromones.
Yeah, it's not a thing I expected to see, but I'm pleased that I have seen it. Now we've got that mental image in everyone's minds. We have our next episode, and that is Star Trek Voyager with Season 2, Episode 23, The Thaw. So, The Thaw aired in the 29th of April, 1996. The teleplay is by Joe Menosky, story by Richard Gaddis, and directed by Martin V. Rush. The UK and US number one hits were... the UK had Mark Morrison with Return of the Mac, and the US had Celine Dion's Because You Loved Me. Now, Return of the Mac, I remember a lot of kids singing in secondary school. God, no, it must have been, maybe that was the start of A-levels. Oh my god, yeah. But yeah, that was weirdly popular over here. Because You Loved Me, I vaguely remember, but I'm not a big Celine Dion head. So yeah, I don't know if you've got a relationship culturally with either of those.
Admittedly, not really.
Yeah, you had that look of no, none of this.
The Mac did not return. The Mac did not return in. Hang on, what year did this air?
1996.
Okay, no. The Mac did not return to Stringer that year.
Oh, okay. So yeah, at Von Dean it did. These, for people that aren't local to Brighton, are schools that are kind of pretty much just a playing field apart. And had a good amount of rivalry between them. To the point where when I ran a Buffy RPG set there, the Hellmouth was in the point between those schools, just to dial up that rivalry and that enmity.
Oh, and the sport, that would have been the sports field.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there could easily have been a Hellmouth there. Anyway, this is not a Buffy podcast either. It is where I quickly find my timer and get ready. So, Voyager, you're going to educate us all on what exactly the Thaw is. Starting now.
Right. The Thaw opens with Harry Kim practicing clarinet because he's got a hot date at some point. Doesn't he have a girlfriend back home on Earth? What happens in the Gamma Quadrant stays in the Gamma Quadrant. Lieutenant Next Door Neighbor is banging on the wall because he does not like it. But, it's okay because he and Tom are called to the bridge because the plot's got to start. They discover a planet which 20 years ago was a huge trading port according to Neelix, but the planet was devastated by solar flares causing a severe weather shift. As they arrive, they receive a message from the planet telling everyone that they're out for the moment, and we appreciate the attention, but don't call us, we'll call you. They discover a cryo-suspension system and promptly beam it on board. Team Voyager discover that 2 out of the 5 or so people have died in suspend animation. Sadly, they can't unplug them from the system without killing them. This problem comes up a lot in science fiction, because no one has ever interacted with a digital computer system that's gotten over that little cliche. So, this seems safe. Let's plug Harry Kim and Torres into the system. And they find themselves in what looks like a local community center, with some local community center theater clowns who just want everyone to dance. Then suddenly, we get a creepy clown who's wearing a grey cardi, and we get a masked giant who sounds like he really wants to tell Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks that there is a man in a smiling bag, and that's an important clue to the murder of Laura Palmer. I'm not sure, but without chemicals, I will point on to the rest of the episode. The clowns, of course, are evil, and they want to kill Harry Kim because the lead clown doesn't want the surviving sleepers to leave, because if they leave, the hologram program will shut down and the clowns will all die. No downside there. That's some Windows Vista level bad programming. But of course, Evil Clown can now access their minds and can torment them with their greatest fears. Apparently, Harry Kim is Janeway's favorite. Citation needed. And B'Elanna is released so the clown can make his threats known. The world of Star Trek should really just outlaw holographic simulations because it's probably the biggest cause of death in the franchise.
Surprisingly so.
The crew are trying to work out a plan to find out how they can save the people in suspended animation without shutting the system down. Meanwhile, Harry is trying to get everyone's spirits up, and he's just 2 steps away from giving us all a rousing rendition of Kumbaya. The clown does not like Kumbaya, and starts to torture Harry by making him think he's really old and dependent on others, and then making him really young to make him feel like he's the team baby. And then he reminds Harry about this colony planet which had a really bad radiation disaster, and how he once saw someone nearly get cut open, and we're gonna do that to Harry. But then the Doctor arrives. Not Tom Baker or Peter Capaldi, but the Doctor, who they basically just set up a USB connection between the Voyager and the suspended animation, and the evil clown can't access the Doctor's programming because he's not real, so he can't play on the fears that this guy doesn't have. The Doctor tries to negotiate with the clown to let the hostages out using a synthetic brain to keep the program going, and the clown says no, and promptly kicks the Doctor out. Janeway plans to engage a rescue mission, going off a choice remark from Vyorsa, one of the colonists who was in suspended animation, who designed the program, which should in effect not remove the hostages from the program, but remove the programs from the hostages. While the Doctor is negotiating again, B'Elanna works on trying to implement this plan, but the clown discovers what's going on and locks him out and prepares to punish Vyorsa by doing to him what Cromwell did to King Charles I by turning his head into a novelty football and thus killing him in real life. Janeway capitulates and allows the clown the victory for now. The Doctor sends another message to the clown, telling him that Janeway will shut everything down and risk everyone's life in order to just get this done. We have to wrap this episode up soon. They come to another negotiation. They'll free the hostages in exchange for letting one hostage remain, but the caveat is that one hostage will be Janeway herself. The clown's like, okie dokie, and Janeway is plugged in. So close yet so far.
I was worried that after last time you'd just hit under the limit every time and I'd get increasingly longer with my descriptions. But no, there we go. We have 5 minutes. So, plug in Janeway. Let's go.
Janeway is plugged in and she turns up being utterly done. And she is not playing around with the clown's BS. As Kim and the other hostages depart, Janeway lets a little tiny tidbit drop. She's not actually Janeway. What they've done is they plugged Janeway's brain into the system so the clown can read her mind, but they've not put her in suspended animation. So what he's actually been talking to is a digital Janeway, and she's actually awake and just kind of looking again done with all this. So now that all the sleepers have left, they can shut down the program safely, and Holo Janeway starts just laying into the clown, just saying that she's a Starfleet captain and that all fear will eventually be conquered, and telling the clown that he knows that inevitably fear will always be conquered, and as everything fades out, the clown admits that he's afraid, and Janeway just basically goes, good. And as it all fades to credits, the clown just has one last word. Drat.
Yeah, what an episode. I love how much Janeway is the give no fucks captain. I
haven't rewatched a lot of Voyager.
Yeah.
But this was a good because the moment when Janeway just arrives in the program at the end, she's done. Yeah, she is awful done, and it's great.
She is bullying the shit out of that clown. That was 1 minute 24 overran, which isn't much. With Janeway's arrival there, that was very much at the end point of this. I liked the Doctor as hostage negotiator. but you just need Janeway to bully the kind of weird Matrix clown.
Janeway just needs a cup of coffee in her hand as she beams in, just to enunciate how done she is with all of this.
Now, I know, like a lot of the popular culture, you get the inevitable re-examinations of things like, the prequels are good, actually. I mean, they're not, but fine, whatever. Or, Enterprise. Kids are getting into Enterprise now that it's on streaming and all that. And that's, again, from what we've seen so far, doesn't feel entirely earned. But the re-examination of Janeway over the years through, memes and people rewatching the show and going, oh yeah, she was hardcore. Like, we all know about Sisko and a lot of the difficult moral decisions that he makes, and Picard and a lot of the lofty philosophizing and all that. Like, Janeway wouldn't have the difficult decisions to make. She'd just do it, She'd be like, oh, he's dead already. It's fine.
Janeway's the kind of person who, if you gave her a gun and told her to shoot someone for the greater good, she'd have shot him before you'd even finished the sentence.
And this, even though it's not a focus on her, she is, kind of a B player in this episode. It's still pretty cool seeing her in action.
Like, the moment she turns up, like, I didn't really like this episode.
That's fair.
Like, I will. Here's the thing: if you're going to do like a creepy story, which is going to have a lot of very unsettling visuals, you need to light to make it unsettling. You need to make the set look unsettling. This is one of those ones where, for me, it's what could be really good is let down by being filmed in the blandest way possible.
Yes, yeah, it has that thing of, oh yeah, they were feared to death. They had all kinds of weird stuff going on. It's like, cool, but you're showing us a rec centre full of people with circus skills. And I live in Brighton. We got a lot of circus schools around here. We got a lot of people that are just going to be in a park doing tumbling.
We've got a lot of rec centres.
Yeah,
like,
right?
It's one of those, like, a little, like, 10 minutes of thought being put into how you can make this look. Like, maybe have, like, more of the environment changing as characters come in and out, and the clown is playing up on their fears. David Lynch, maybe don't hire a guy who's prominent in a good show to say anything in your not so great episode of Voyager, because it's immediately going to make me think of how David Lynch in Twin Peaks can just do so much with the sound of a ceiling fan and a red and black room, and just make a feeling and create an atmosphere with so little for just ultimate horror effect.
Yeah, I mean, you struck on it definitely with the giant there. I admit, when I first saw him, I was like, Lurch! Oh God, and he was Mr. Hum as well. So yeah, one of those glorious actors who gets work kind of actors. And you get him being ominous, and then everyone else is just tumbling around. And I get, you got an omnipotent Matrix clown who could kill everyone through fear, and that's a terrifying concept, but and the clown as well, by the way. It's Michael McKean, Short Circuit 2's Michael McKean, who is having a whale of a time, and I'm enjoying how daft he is. But I
like his clown cardi.
Yeah.
But again, with some really good lighting.
Yep.
Like maybe a few like Dutch angles. When the clown realizes that he's been had, and you see like the room slowly spinning around him, that's the point. I'm like, you should have had more of that throughout the episode. Play on the reality. Like, when the lights start going down, and it's just Janeway and the clown in the room together, it starts to get some actual kind of life and vibe, and it starts to feel kind of like dynamic and really well shot. Too little, too late. But just it doesn't Like,
there's a scene with the guillotine, and even the guillotine looks like a guillotine that you'd find at a weird creche.
it looked like it was built out of Legos.
Yeah, exactly.
To talk about Genesis, like, if Genesis was full lit, as the Enterprise normally is, Worf running around, like, in like, really bad makeup while Patrick Stewart is spraying Troy pheromones, pretending to be a lemur, would look shite.
Yeah, I mean, you can take it really seriously when it's lit better, that whole situation.
And okay, I'm a Doctor Who fan, so, like, yeah, I have watched stuff where giant mummies lumber around a soundstage looking like a gothic Victorian mansion with no attempt to fix lighting, but you still have that kind of you still have that atmosphere. You do have that kind of verisimilitude of what it's trying to evoke, and this never really captures that because it just kind of looks cheap.
Yeah,
it looks cheap and gross.
It's a curious thing because it looks like someone was trying to go back to looking like it was in the original series. And reading up on the episode, the director, Marvin V. Rush, who did a few episodes of the kind of Berman era Trek, director-wise, it mentions specifically he channeled his own fears. His fear of heights, his fear of public speaking, and a traumatic youth, by the sounds of it, getting hit by a car and even getting shot at one time. We see literally none of that. None of that is on the screen. The most we see is the Harry Kim bit. And B'Elanna Torres, I don't remember her really doing anything when they get in there. Like, there's not oh god, let's rip her apart into a human and a Klingon. That's probably been done at this point. I know that's done at some point here. Or, can we do something with her and fears? It's just all Harry Kim and his understandable fear of his own kind of helplessness. Because, as I said in episode 2 of this, he gave off big Doug Ramsey vibes. So yeah, it's a shame that there were some good ideas, and it sounds like the director had been through a lot and wanted to express that. I feel none of it really happened.
I always feel bad when I come off being negative because, this is people's jobs. This is people who are who are trained and had done the work. I can say I don't think this was lit correctly, but I'm not working on a TV schedule for a 90s produced sci-fi show. So I can just say it as someone who's sitting in an armchair, who's seen a lot of horror movies, and I don't want to be that guy who says I could do better, because, push comes to shove, there's a reason why I'm not.
Yeah.
If the director was able to kind of channel those emotional traumas and hang-ups and put it into what he feels, put it into the finished product, great, awesome. I just wish I'd kind of seen the DNA of that.
Yeah, I hope he worked through his stuff and got something positive from this. Because, yeah, I didn't feel it. As much as I liked Hostage Negotiator, the Doctor, and Janeway having no time for any of this.
Yeah.
Which was a joy. So yeah, I guess it remains to put it on our list. And Voyager is one that's currently fairly underrepresented, with only one episode on the big list, which is Caretaker, which is the second to last on the list. It is above only Broken Bow. Is this above Caretaker?
I think Caretaker's just got a promotion.
Yeah.
A one-step promotion. Yeah.
I was looking at this list and it feels bad to put things low down on here, but it is our sacred duty.
Again, I can watch a bad episode of a TV show. A TV show where, there's clearly some ideas and there's clearly some thought put. Failed realization is worse to me than watching something which is bad.
Yes.
I can watch a Plan 9 from Outer Space and go, this is bad, but I can see an attempt poorly realized. And that hurts more than something which is Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen, which offends me on every emotional, psychological, and moral core.
So,
and
yes, yeah, with this, the last the last point of order is it worse than Broken Bow?
No.
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 I like the sets on Broken Bow more, but we're going to see those for like 4 seasons of the show.
I will probably be more likely to rewatch this episode without someone threatening my cat.
Yeah.
Broken Bow may have to involve some intense cat threatening.
Okay, so it is now at our number 16 spot on the list. Broken Bow is undefeated as the worst Star Trek we've experienced so far. And to be honest, I think the next one isn't going to be anywhere near that, but we'll see. So our third and final episode of our spooky selection is Star Trek The Original Series, Season 2, Episode 7, titled Catspaw. This aired on the 27th of October 1967, written by Psycho's own Robert Bloch.
Psycho is my favourite movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I will actually probably be watching it later today, because I was going to watch it yesterday, but didn't get round to it. The Psycho novel isn't as good as the film. There are some differences which make the book very interesting. It follows it pretty closely, but since you're getting a lot more of Norman Bates' viewpoint, I'm wondering if Robert Bloch was playing on his history as like a Lovecraft writer to make people think that Norman Bates had brought his mother back to life using ancient Necronomicon-style rituals, but she came back wrong, and then just pulling out the misdirected, oh no, actually, he's just a psychopath. It's not as good as the film, but Robert Bloch is, of course, one of the Lovecraftian proteges inspired by the Hewlett-Packard racist himself, and I feel this comes back in this episode, definitely with a few choice mentions of a particular race.
Yeah, there are some interesting things here. Anyway, yes, so it was written by him, directed by Joseph Pevney. In the UK, at the point this aired, the Bee Gees were number 1 with Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure that was the case for Mirror Mirror as well. In the US, it was Lulu with To Sir With Love, which I'm pretty sure... I'm pretty sure I've heard and mentally discarded.
I have only heard the song in relation to the time I watched the film the song is from, To Sir With Love, starring screen icon Sidney Poitier.
So yeah, I guess now we've covered when this happened and who it's by, I ought to try and get into what exactly this spooky tale is about.
Okay, I am setting the timer now.
Mm-hmm.
Engage.
So, things start off weird from the get-go when Uhura's trying to get a signal from Scotty and Sulu, who are an away team on Paris 7, I think? No, maybe my autocorrect changed that to Paris. Anyway, the other member of the away team, Jackson, is the only person they can get hold of, and that's a bad sign. So, he beams up and instantly falls down dead, giving a spooky voice from his dead open mouth to leave here or die. Kirk, of course, finds this a fascinating prospect and beams down immediately with Spock and Bones to make a rescue mission, who I guess had a say in this. They immediately see a spooky fog. They see 3 witches who are kind of Macbeth style, giving a poem of warning, and Spock is unimpressed. Gives them a 1 out of 5 on the ominous portents review. Spock,
I swear in this episode, he is done from the get-go, because Spock is doing a lot of slouching.
Oh, he's that guy in an improv troupe who is just noping everything. He is not yes-anding the concept of this whole thing.
There is some good I am fed up being here from Spock for this episode. Anyway, get back to it.
Anyway, yes, so they see a spooky castle and a lot of dry ice. We see up on the Enterprise where Chekhov is making his first appearance in filming order, hasn't let his hair grow in yet, and has an amazing wig.
His wig looks like mine when I let it grow out a bit. It is full Patrick Troughton.
It's amazing in the worst possible way. So, back down on the planet, the spooky castle. They head on in and get stopped by a spooky cat. And the cat startles them for a moment and fucks off, just like any cat on a good day. Kirk mentions the whole trick-or-treat vibe to this, which means that Halloween and trick-or-treating must exist in the far future. He's chatting about all the Halloween vibes when the floor opens up underneath everyone, and oh no, they've woken up in a spooky cellar with skeletons, and they're chained up. Oh no, whoever is here knows what man fears. And it's a hokey haunted house fairground exhibit. Scotty and Sulu appear mind-controlled and completely non-verbal for this entire episode. You get Scotty pointing a phaser at the prisoners, and it looks like there's about to be a fight cracking on between mind-controlled and non-mind-controlled crewmen when someone yells to them to stop, and we meet Korob, who looks like Ming the Merciless got into the whole Sorcerer Supreme gig. Kirk wants answers from him and from the cat, and Spock points out there wasn't life here originally. These guys aren't native to it all. Which, yeah, they're not native. Korob is about to explain when the cat apparently tells him through his mind that he's been a terrible host, needs to bring them food, which, you know, if you're capturing people, you may as well do that. Do the old Doctor Doom.
So you're a cat, that's normally what they do telepathically. They just telepathically send you messages saying, feed me, food. Yep.
So yeah, at the mill, he tries bribing the group with gems, not realising that they're post-scarcity. And they're like, yeah, whatever, we can replicate these. That's fine, mate. But apparently it was all a test, which is exactly what I'd say if I'd fucked up a bribery attempt there as well. Korob introduces the group to Sylvia, his colleague, and they start talking about mind probes. Kirk uses this whole monologue as a great distraction to fight Scotty and grab a phaser. And Sylvia's like, yeah, whatever. I use sympathetic magic to kill Jackson. I'll do the same to you. I'll do the same to the Enterprise. Look at this little Christmas decoration. I'm going to dangle it over a candle and suddenly the ship gets really hot. Korob apparently is fascinated by by Starfleet science and wants to know about it because all of the magic is their equivalent of science. Has an amazing pronunciation from Kirk of the telekinesis as well, which is his form of science. As an extra incentive, the Enterprise is put in a
time.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. While I set the stopwatch, I am going to quickly. Your mention of the mind probe. I now have to do my greatest impersonation of a line read from Doctor Who, whereas someone in the story of the Five Doctors, someone is threatened with the mind probe, and they say, no, not the mind probe, in the same way one would go, that's enough chocolate cake today. So, no, not the mind probe. For all the Doctor Who fans of our audience, I see you, you love it. This also might be my cat Willie's favourite episode of Star Trek.
Oh God, of course. Yes.
Anyway.
Good.
I am starting the timer now.
Okay, so, as an incentive for sharing information about science, the Enterprise is frozen in some kind of force field, both the little Christmas decoration-looking version and the one up in space. Kirk and Spock get returned to the cellar while Bones gets brainwashed.
Are you doing a Thunderbirds podcast and not telling me?
Oh shit!
Are you doing Casual Thunderbirds?
Oh no, God, I'd be terrible at that. So yes. Anyway, during all this, Spock mentions his theory that there's a kind of genetic human subconscious that contains all knowledge of things like ghosts and ghouls and all the Halloween bullshit. And that's how the castle got made, and the spooky cat, and the skeleton cellar, that we've all got it in our minds, like the Assassin's Creed genetic history kind of thing, that somehow some bland loser in the present knows about what it was like to be in the Middle East as an assassin in the past.
I think what's actually happening is that Spock has read Jung and Joseph Campbell's The Hero of a Thousand Faces, and is just trying to subtly crowbar it in to show off. Because that's what I would do in this situation.
If he hasn't, Block definitely has. Anyway, so Bones is brainwashed. Spock's going to be taken away, and, that's all fine. Sylvia, however, wants to talk to Kirk, because guess what? She's a lady, and ladies love a bit of old James T.
She wants a slice of Shatner.
Well, she loves having a physical body and being on the physical plane. That's, it's fascinating to her. And Kirk's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, also torturing people and, causing torment. It's like, oh, that's less good. Oh, no, we're not a fan of that. Kirk mentions about the lack of compassion that she's got. She's like, yeah, that's fine, though. I want to know about power, sod compassion and all that. He starts touching her shoulder and pulling all the Kirk moves. And she mentions a weird joining kind of thing about, maybe they could get together and she can look like any woman, and cycles through the random costumes that they found, including some kind of weird clown in a onesie kind of thing. It's jarring, frankly. But, I guess she said any woman, so fine. Sylvia realizes that Kirk's been trying to use her for information, sends him away, and the Enterprise, during all this, are actually still working. They're still figuring out, actually, we can get through this force field. And I quite like that, even though they have to get rescued, they're not sitting around. They're not, wasting time. Korob is fed up of Sylvia and lets Kirk and Spock go, going, she's gone mad. She likes sensations in physical form too much. It's all got a bit weird. Also, giant cat. Like, she is also this giant cat. Cut to a regular-sized cat on a small set, which is wonderful to see. It's proper Kitten Kong kind of mode. As the cat chases after them, Korob gets crushed under a door, and Kirk takes his wand, smashes it, turns everything back to how it was before and stopping the mind control. But tough luck, Scotty and Sulu, you're still not getting any lines. At the end of all this, they catch sight of Korob and Sylvia's true forms, which are what if Yithians from the Lovecraft mythos were also clangers. And they bounce about a bit, they kind of exhale a puff of smoke and die. Abrupt ending.
Alright, 4 minutes 10.
Oh dear, oh dear.
I didn't think the clangers. I thought, what if Bill and Ben were the Craftian evil?
See, I was a fan of the clangers, and we've even got a clanger on a shelf downstairs. So, yeah, I just looked from the TV where I saw them, hopping around up to the shelf and back. I was like, oh no, this is the thing that clangers have nightmares about.
I'm surprised they let Sulu leave the ship. They never let Sulu leave the ship.
No, I mean, you're allowed to leave the ship, Sulu, but you're not allowed to talk, I guess.
I like how Sylvia's plan is basically, right, every 20 minutes we'll brainwash someone until Kirk gives me what I want.
It's a weird plan. Like, why are you pacing it like this? Why is... Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly an odd scheme. And the idea of these as kind of old gods or servants of old gods who are figuring out what the physical realm is interesting, but it is very 1967 TV show kind of version of it.
Given how much Star Trek is always about how, you have humans becoming godlike beings and going crazy, it's really nice to see a show where you have godlike beings become human and go, actually, I really like the squishy bits of being human. You very rarely get that reverse. I'm sorry. My cat has come up to me. Clearly he knows I'm talking about the cat episodes of Star Trek and is demanding scritches, which he told me telepathically.
Of course, as spooky cats tend to. Yeah, I liked all the goofy Halloween stuff, and Spock's whole weird, yes, you've got this ancestral memory, which combined with Genesis having, there is an ancestral part of you that is a spider. It says some things about man, with these episodes, and what we contain inside us.
Kirk really wants us to believe that he cares about Jackson being dead.
Yes.
I was almost very excited. I was hoping that we would get the first He's Dead Jim of our podcast. I was like, come on, say it. But no, sadly, we just get the man is dead.
Oh. One day we'll get a He's Dead Jim.
Bones is edging us here.
And yeah,
He's edging us with a good suggestion.
And he doesn't get a huge amount to do aside from that, really. This is definitely Kirk and Spock encounter some Halloween flavored bullshit, and Spock, as I said, he no-sells the entire thing. He's frankly bored of a lot of it, and yeah, is must have other places to go and things to do. I guess Vulcan Halloween's a bit different. Who knows?
Vulcan Halloween would be the worst.
It really would.
Because they would all be wearing the same they'd all be wearing the same costume.
The optimal costume, and obviously.
They'll all be dressed as Romulans.
Oh.
Or they'll be dressed as humans. Like, they'll dress as humans, and they'll all be dressed as the same human.
Is it Kirk?
It's no, it's Archer. They're all dressed as Archer.
Oh.
they're all dressed as Scott Bakula.
Oh God, it's him. They've dressed as him, the racist. He's gonna pretend to be all folksy and make like that covers up for his hate crimes.
For the casual race, a lot of tuba music in the soundtrack this week.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. To be honest, where we were saying before felt like it looked rubbish, it looked bad. This had a look to it, but it was charmingly goofy. It wasn't scary, but it was House of Horrors kind of.
This is 1960s. This is Batman 66 levels of camp creepiness. Like, you can almost imagine, like, in the next room, Adam West and Burt Ward are punching out, I don't know, Vincent Price, who is playing a Vincent Price was actually in Batman playing Egghead. But, like, you can almost imagine, like, Batman and Robin punching out, I don't know, who is, like, a good Halloween, like, the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
On, like, in 2 days, like, you gotta...
Korob and Sylvia, you could easily see double shifting it, going, right, we're done here, run over to the Batman 66 set. So, I mean, I enjoyed this. The plan was stupid from Sylvia and Korob. From what I've seen, it felt like Korob was on task, on mission, go, let's recon what the physical realm's like. And Sylvia was instantly infatuated with it. But I liked that she wasn't, show me this thing called love. No, she was like, yeah, it's fucking great when you can rip a person apart. So, oh no. She's taking the bad lessons.
Oh no, I've had dates like this.
Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting seeing that. I guess there are some bits of doing a Starfleet. Like Kirk, despite a woman that can appear as any woman, seemingly on shuffle, still manages to go, no, we need to keep things Starfleet.
You killed Jackson, and we do care about Jackson. We honestly care about Jackson.
Yeah, for this hour, we care about Jackson. Please do not ask in an hour and 10 minutes.
They try and the last line is basically, Jackson didn't survive. And like, okay, Robert, I commend your attempt to try and inject some pathos, but we just saw Lovecraftian clangers. You could have just, like, you know...
Your argument is invalid. We saw weird clangers and a giant cat, like, not an evil giant cat, a house cat trying to pour through a doorway, then, like, put onto, I guess, like a green screen or something. Like, this is just a regular cat that's pursuing them. And again, I love that. I love how goofy it looks.
It would almost be dark, like Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. Although, with Garth Marenghi's Darkplace, it would actually just be a cat on the regular set.
The first episode did have a cat psychically going, leave! And
just leave!
Yeah, while it's a shame we didn't get voiceover from Sylvia as the cat going, this is incredibly rude, you should send them to a meal. I get it. You know, it's fine not having that. You want to have the sense of Sylvia's act was the cat all along. So, yeah, it was a very daft but very good fun episode of the original series. As far as how good it is, though, we do have our objective list of all of the Star Treks. We got a few here. Like, is it... I think Caretaker might get 2 promotions in 1 episode. Oh my god. Really? Are you putting it that low?
I like. I don't know. It was fun, but again, once I think this is good for me. Like, I get my feeling that it's something I'd probably put it on a Halloween party. Like, you want to put on something which is kind of spooky. You're not, it's not going to be, you're not going to put on Genesis.
Yeah.
At a Halloween party, either episode or group. But I don't know, if you want to show something spoopy that's not spooky, I don't know, it might be Catspaw.
Oh, this is definitely the spookiest of the three we've seen.
This is the spoop track.
So, you're saying this is worse than Genesis was?
No, I'm saying it's better than Genesis. I'm saying it's not as good as Caretaker, but it's better than
because Genesis is all the way up at number 9 out of all these.
Oh!
Yeah, Caretaker's third from worst.
Oh, damn.
So...
Okay, so I think Caretaker might get not... In that case, Caretaker might get knocked back to its original number by putting it above Caretaker.
So, above Caretaker, we have Strange New World, where Trip gets more racist than usual by hallucinating pollen. Is this better than that? Because I think it is.
Yes, it is. It is.
Is it better than the whole Captain Killy thing from Despite Yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we're at my favourite is this better than question. Is it better than Encounter at Farpoint? So many have tried, so many have fallen.
Why do you make me do this?
So,
you're basically saying Korob versus Grappler Zorn.
Yeah, they're both wonderful. I want to see them cross
this
over.
Is grudge fight. This is the ultimate grudge fight.
Who would win in a fight? I mean, it would be Korob, to be honest. Eldritch being over a guy what enslaved a UFO. I think both occupy a similar space for me of I wouldn't go out of my way to watch them, but I would watch them.
Yeah.
Above Encounter at Farpoint, we've got Matter of Honor with Riker's Klingon work experience, which I think is better than this. You got your weird bacteria plot. You've got all the fun with Riker going a bit Klingon with things. So yeah, that means I guess it is that stickler of is this better than Encounter at Farpoint? That would make it. I mean, no matter what, this is our lowest rated original series episode. So Spooky Castle wins over 80s Mall for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the supporting cast is stronger with Korob and Sylvia. Which, what a pair of names, You're an Eldritch being. What are you calling yourself? Korob! What about you? Sylvia! Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, good. These are both good names. Why not? I think for me it might just be Encounter at Farpoint. Farpoint's more important, but Catspaw, all the individual bits land.
All the pieces matter.
Yes. The weird clangers at the end. I kind of prefer them to the weird jellyfish UFO.
Yep, I agree.
So, this means at the new number 12, we have Catspaw. So, that means we're up to 18 now on our big list.
Caretaker was bumped up a spot, and then bumped straight back down to its original spot. That's sad.
Yes, technically it is still number 16, despite us adding some episodes. Good work, Caretaker. Yeah, so...
Caretaker, you tried.
Yes, well, kind of. I think as we remarked at the time, it had the confidence for a show that didn't have to try. And, yeah. Right, so, with that done, we just have a couple of things to wrap up with. So, you can find me over at skyshark.itch.io for my comics and, most recently, some RPG content that I've been putting together. I also talk about RPGs and tabletop games on Who Dares Rolls, and on Twitter at Charlie_EN, where I post about X-Men literally every day, and I'm beginning to enter the grim times with that. So that's going to be fun. Miles, what about you?
I am found posting far too much on Twitter at @manmiles, where the last couple of weeks I found myself annoyed that you can't monetize single tweets.
Oh.
Because I gotten huge numbers on tweets about Star Wars, and just thinking that if every person who liked this tweet just gave me $1, just gave me a single $1.
Oh, if you could post a hot take and just monetize that take.
Oh, if I can monetize hot takes, I would never leave Twitter. And I should really leave Twitter. Because Twitter...
We all should, really. So, I guess as the opposite of that, our request of you all is that you go to a Starfleet.
Go to a Starfleet, live long, and have a jelly baby.
See you next time, where we talk about animated Star Trek. You've been listening to Casual Trek by Charlie Etheridge-Nunn and Miles Reid-Lobatto. Music by Alfred Etheridge-Nunn. Casual Trek's part of the Nerd and Tie network, and if you want to support us monetarily, because you love what we do that much, you can now do that by going to Ko-fi and looking up Casual Trek. There's a link in the show notes.